Okay, I'm back. You back?
Yep.
Who peaked long? Oh, I peaked longer than you. You probably hear it actually. I probably should have turned my mic off. But that was a satisfying
I did
peak.
actually. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you got Audacity on your laptop?
I do not know. I assume
That's
that's some sort of audio editing software.
Yeah, it's like a free thing you download. You can cut and paste clips and things like that, or add music to the beginning or whatever.
Are
And
you
it's
saying we should cut out our background peeing noise? I
unless
think the
people are
listeners.
into it.
Well, yeah, I think they might be.
Okay, yeah, why not?
Happy to leave that in, and
Cool.
that can become a weekly section of our show, and see who can pee the longest and the loudest in the background.
Oh,
Um,
challenge pissing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Something else like, yeah, screw you, X-Pac. You don't have that in your podcast. Okay, so what we were talking about paying our dues as young rookies and the things we'd be tasked
Yeah.
to do, flyering, postering. This is all pretty much standard. What is expected of you paying your dues in the early days?
Yeah, I didn't
Less
expect. Yeah,
less so nowadays because we have the internet and like flyers and posters are, as you say, less effective.
yeah. I feel like now today, postering people tend to ignore it because they just see it as some kind of littering on the walls and stuff. But I've genuinely been out and people don't pay attention till the posters unless they see me putting it up.
Yeah.
So there have been times where I've put posters up and people have looked at it and gone, "Oh, wrestling, cool." Yeah, it's weird. But I don't know how much that works.
And the old crippling thing where you're handing out flyers and hand a flyer
Yeah,
out to somebody and they see it on, like, they literally just throw it instantly on the ground.
yeah.
Heartbreaking.
That's it. It kind of is, but then you feel like how many, like anytime you get a takeaway menu, do you pay attention to it?
No, not really. Let's
Exactly.
go straight in the bin because we have the internet, and want
Yeah,
to take away, I'm just going to Google it or whatever. So
yeah, it does make me question how to grow the local shows,
yeah,
unless it's word of mouth.
it's pretty much going to be social media is probably your best avenue at that point, and even that's dying to a degree. I mean, Facebook seems to be, I don't guess, not on the way out, but it definitely seems to be waning, the amount of people that use it, at least in my experience anyway.
It is, and I feel like it's really hard to promote because the amount of advertisement on Facebook, you'd have to pay. I think the Portsmouth School of Wrestling's actually tried that as well, like paid for advertising on Facebook to promote their shows. But it does sometimes, like, it is very hit and miss, but the Mountbatten Centre shows, they're either like super packed or reasonable.
Yeah.
They're better than they were back in the day. Like if you watch PWG UK or European Vacation.
Ah, yes, I remember you telling me about this. I couldn't believe this was actually a thing. Oh, please tell the listeners exactly what this is.
I'll Google the card while I talk. But PWG so European Vacation 2, 2007, they came to Portsmouth, the Mountbatten Centre, where we do our trainee shows. PWG, like the pinnacle. I don't know if it's seen as that today, but between 2015, 2015 to 2018, I'd say was the pinnacle of independent wrestling. Had a show from the Mountbatten Centre where you had Bryan Danielson defending his PWG world title versus Martin Stone. You had Davey Richards and Super Dragon versus El Generico and Kevin Steen.
And how many people did they draw to this show?
It doesn't say, but if you watch the trailer for it, if you go into YouTube, I think, and just put in PWG European Vacation 2, they have their PWG's official YouTube channel have a preview of it, and it doesn't look anywhere near as packed as what we do for our shows.
Despite having multiple future world heavyweight champions on the card.
Yeah, so you had Rockstar Spud on it. Austin Aries is on it. Bryan Danielson. Pac, Davey Richards, Super Dragon, El Generico, and Kevin Steen. And it's insane to see that, They only have, I think, one of the bleachers out. While when we do our trainee shows, like I think my debut was at the Revolution Rumble, and I think they said something like 500 people.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, so I can say that for my debut, we outdrew PWG. Oh, and I was in the main event.
God, that looks incredible.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the highlights now.
Your debut show, was that a Rumble as well?
Okay, where did I leave off? Okay, yeah. So I was doing training, and I forgot to add, like, once training was over, I had to fly home because there was no boat home. So I would then get the train up to Southampton Airport Parkway and get the cheapest flight I could, which was usually about like, it could be like, depending on the week, it could be anywhere. It could be like 60, 70 quid if I was like super lucky, but it could also be like 150 quid one way from Southampton back to Guernsey. So yeah, I was doing that for months and months and months, not making great progress, but did manage to have a training seminar with Badass Billy Gunn, which was pretty cool. Yeah, like pretty starstruck there, and also had one with Chris Masters as well, who's of course famous for picking up that tree and putting it through his mother's window and helping her escape a fire, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really nice as well. But yeah, they're both like super nice, super cool, laid back. Just absolutely, again, surreal seeing a human being in the flesh that you've watched on television for years, that you've played as in the N64 wrestling games. I was like, flashback to my first experience with wrestling. Mr. Ass? Who is this Mr. Ass? And years later, Mr. Ass is teaching me how to lock up, and I'm screwing it up and awful, but still, just awesome experience.
Yeah.
So this went on for maybe like a year and a little bit, and it was costing me insane amounts of money, as you can imagine.
Yes.
And it was like getting to the point where I could pay my bills, I could pay my rent, I could like put petrol in my car just about, but anything else, like I remember walking home from work one day and I was like, I realized I started looking on the ground for like spare change and like any money that people might have dropped, because I kept thinking like, wow, if I can get an extra 20p in my food budget, that means I can get like a can of tomatoes tonight, and that'd be really nice. And it was like that moment, it struck me like, I can't go on like this. This has got to end. Something's got to change.
Yeah.
I've got to make a decision here. And I wasn't making great progress with wrestling training. I was in a relationship at the time, and that's, as you can imagine, that's kind of selfish, that I was spending quite a lot of my weekends away at wrestling training. Sometimes I would stay overnight as well, from a Friday to a Sunday, and I would sleep in the school, in the ring, just like with a sleeping bag or whatever, as some other trainees did as well, just because they couldn't afford a hotel. So yeah, a lot of my weekends were lost. So that's difficult to be in a relationship when you're, it's like, I'd love to spend some time with you, but I actually have to go off and learn to pretend fight people and pay them, all this money. And money, I could be taking you out for a nice dinner, but I'm not going to do that. No, I'm going to give that money to Badass Billy Gunn so he can teach me how to do it famously. So yeah, I made the difficult decision to cut the dream short, and that's where the dream died. The dream died. And
so you trained for about a year, did you?
Just a little bit over a year, yeah.
Okay.
So I can't remember what year this was in. I'm like even worse with years than you. So I'm guessing this was like 1942 or something like that. Back in the day. So yeah, I returned to civilian life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, okay, so wrestling is not going to happen anymore. I should probably make a go of this actual real living, being a normal human being. I know, right? So I was like, I got a better job, and I took a bunch of exams in finance and got some qualifications. I got really got in much better shape because I was so out of shape back then. So I started lifting weights and running. I went
I
on
should
like
try that sometime.
Yeah. And well, to say you say that, but you even since I've known you, come on, I've told you this before. Leaps and bounds in your physique, and I'm not the only one who's told you that, and as the trainers have as well. And I'm pretty sure I've overheard.
I get it's one of those things I get told that, but when I think about how long I've been working out, I feel like, man, I should be better.
Well, yeah, same thing for me, but like, it never ends. Like,
True. Yeah, but you look like if you told someone you were a professional wrestler, like they would believe it. But when I tell people, they always go,
no,
"Really?"
they don't. No, they have the exact same reaction that you just said. They're like, really?
Okay.
You don't look like a. That doesn't really like, especially like co-workers or
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because they don't see me like ever in a like they see me like in a nice smart shirt or whatever.
Oh, yeah. And when you wear a suit, it does sort of hide it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I used to get around it by telling people, "Oh no, I do like the lucha stuff, so it doesn't matter that I'm not big."
Yeah. And yeah, you've come on, like I say, leaps and bounds in your physique. It's definitely noticeable.
It's one of those things that sort of held me back. Like the first couple of years, I wanted to do it was because I used to think,
yeah, and same for
like,
me. Like,
yeah,
and this is like something I want to come back to in a future podcast is just like that whole like working outside of wrestling and body image issues, and how we like try and compare ourselves to, I don't know, who's got the best physique right now, like
Kota Ibushi.
yeah, yes.
Ugh.
Or I was thinking Brian Cage.
Yes.
Or Bobby Lashley, or just like Brock Lesnar, just like these
Yeah.
inhuman beasts.
I'd like to say this now for the podcast. So that is that if you think about training, a lot of people think, "Oh, I'll work out for 6 months and then go to training."
Yeah,
I would say no, train and work out at the same time.
absolutely.
Because the cardio needed for wrestling, you can only build by wrestling.
Yeah, you can't do it by like going for a run or on a stationary bike or a cross trainer. My goodness.
The closest thing you could get is CrossFit, maybe.
Yeah, some sort of explosive, but you're like still constantly doing cardio and then explosive cardio and then drop down a bit. And then, but even then, it's not going to be the same because you've still got to control your breathing. You're juggling like 100 things in your head as well at the same time. Oh, what's the next spot? Okay, you've got a bump like this. You've got to be ready for this, but you've also got to, accelerate your arm. Yeah, exactly.
It's so difficult. So yeah, if you're thinking about training, train. Like go to a wrestling school.
Absolutely. So many guys like I've spoken to, like, yeah, I want to start wrestling training, but I want to get bigger first. And of course, they never actually work out or do anything, so it never comes to fruition. But I think that's them kind of like justifying, giving themselves an excuse, like, oh, I would train, but I just got to get in shape first, and then of course,
maybe
there's a lot of that in guys I hear that I always hear like so many people say, oh, I'd love to do that, but and the but isn't really that big a but.
Yeah,
it's something that could like easily be overcome with a little effort and time. Yes. So if we're done talking down on those people who dare not train, so yeah, I got in better shape, as I say. I ran a marathon.
Nice.
I did a bunch of other things that I wanted to get checked off the bucket list. But of course, I still had this like, I just wanted one match. Like, if I could just say I had one match, I would be satisfied. Everybody else wants to become a world heavyweight champion or main event WrestleMania, and I just want one match in front of a crowd. Doesn't matter where it is. Doesn't matter if it's only 10 people. Just as long as they paid money, it's an actual show. I can die happy.
Yeah.
So I always had that itch in the back of my mind, and of course, time ticks on, as you said earlier. The dream seems more and more distant. So eventually, I'm like, right, fine. I'm at least in decent physical shape now, so that gives me a good start, a good base. Even though, as you say, it's not exactly. It doesn't prepare you for in-ring cardio and conditioning at all.
No, and like wrestling in a school training doesn't prepare you for wrestling in front of a crowd either.
No, absolutely not. And but still, if you can be in somewhat of decent shape, it's going to help. So I was like, fine. got a better job now. I get paid way better. I still don't want to move to England to try this because I'm too old to run off and join the circus now. I've got a good life here. I've got my own flat. I've got nice income, a nice job. I don't want to rock the boat and throw that all away to go off and chase the circus. Maybe if I was young again, I could, but I can't. I always think like, man, so many people would like kill to have this well-paying, relatively stress-free job that is 5 minutes walk from my apartment in Guernsey. It's just a really like easy setup, and just could not bring myself to like throw that away and move to England. So again, I did the whole travel to the UK from Guernsey thing again. Only this time I could afford a flight directly to Southampton. It was still like super expensive, but it was a lot easier, obviously, than getting an overnight boat, and that's time consuming. So yeah, I was flying first class, which is the only class there is in a plane from Guernsey, because they only hold like 30 people. So yeah, bright and early on a Saturday morning at like 5 a.m. I would drive to the airport, get myself on the first flight out to Southampton, land in Southampton, get the train down to Portsmouth, and this time I was training with Revolution Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
And much better training atmosphere, much better trainers, a more welcoming feel at the school. I felt. I remember my first day. I came in and I was late, like 45 minutes late to the training session. I think Dan McGee was taking the training session.
Oh, did you go to the beginners class? Did you?
I must have, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, I'm late. I'm Ben. I like literally tried to give him like a 30-second explanation of my experience so far, what I'd done, and like he was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, Louis, can you go and take this guy in the ring? And he's like, God bless his socks. Louis was there and he took me aside and took me through the basic rolls and the bumps, and I was like, oh my God, am I going to remember anything? And no, I didn't remember anything at all. I retained pretty much nothing. I could pretty much do a back bump and a few rolls. I could lock up, but Louis is so good. Like he just works with you, and you feel a lot more confident, when you've worked with somebody so experienced. And so we locked up, and yeah, he took me through the bumps, and then he was like, yeah, you're okay. You can, because there was 2 rings at that point. So he took me aside into one of the other rings while the other trainees used the opposite ring. And he was like, yeah, you seem fine. Go and join the trainees and the rest of the other ring. And so, yeah, they were like 2/3 of the way through their training session at this point. So I just...
What were they going over?
And this is the thing, I can't think. It was like a bunch of spots.
Okay.
It ended up with me giving the other trainee a Stinger Splash and a DDT. And I was like,
nice.
Yeah.
So, you got to do 2 moves on your class.
And that was it. Like, the other trainee was really good as well. So again, he just pretty much, I was the broom, the proverbial broom. He helped me. He wrestled the broom. Yeah. And I felt great after that. I was like, I felt like in that one session, I'd done more than I had in all of the other training sessions back at varsity. So it like skyrocketed my confidence. I was hooked then. I came back the following week, and we did like a little rumble and gave Will Castle an F5 and checked him out the ring, and just like awesome, like cool little experiences. It was just so much fun. And yeah, from there, a few months on from training, my first match, which was your original question, my first match came about in the Bucklands Community Centre, 6-man tag team match. It was myself, I can't even remember. It was a 6-man tag.
It wasn't against me by any chance, was it?
You know what? I think it was. Yeah, it was you,
Will Castle and Andy
and
Simmons
Simmons. Yeah, and
against you, AJ Wright,
AJ Wright,
and
Kai Caden.
yes, I
Um,
remember that match.
which is on YouTube right now. If you give it anybody wants to listen, give it a watch.
I
Of course,
remember one bit of that match. Oh, two bits of that match,
the
actually.
beautiful back body drop you took at the start.
Oh, 3 bits then, yeah.
Hey, what were they up to?
The other bits where I countered a leg scissors head takeover into a backbreaker.
Oh, yeah.
And towards the end of the match, AJ did a dive over the top, and Andy, being the professional, didn't get hit, and therefore he didn't bump. And I was like,
you took the full brunt.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. Like, he didn't do the fake wrestler. Oh, I'm by the pile, therefore I'll fall.
Yeah.
He sort of just went off, and he went, you missed me. And I was like, yes, that's what you should do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, always learning.
That was a really fun little match, actually.
You got to win as well, didn't you?
I know. I not only did I get to win, Aiden. Do you know how many bumps I took in that match?
0.
No bumps whatsoever. And I got to hit spine busters and back body drops and double choke slam.
No, me and Will went to double choke slam.
Yeah, and I countered and hit the choke slam, tagged in Kai, and I think he has frog splash for the win.
I am now 3 years into my professional wrestling career, and I've yet to pin someone.
It's not about wins and losses, Aiden, except it really is. But
it is.
Yes, it really is. Do you see Brock Lesnar jobbing to Kai Caden? No, you don't. You know why?
Well,
that's why Brock Lesnar is worth. God, how much do you reckon he's worth, Brock Lesnar? Hold on. We'll play a little game here. What do you reckon Brock Lesnar's net worth is?
Oh, I don't know. I know he gets paid like $1 million a match or something.
Before you Google it, I'm going to say 15 million.
I'm going to say 31.
Okay. And these things are never accurate, of course. It's not like they've got Brock Lesnar's tax returns, but let's have a look what Brock Lesnar is worth. And then we can look how much Benjamin Black is worth. As of 2020, Brock Lesnar's net worth stands at a staggering $28 million. So I'm only 3 off. 10 million.
Damn.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't even spend that much of it. He lives like on a farm, like in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Probably doesn't even have internet bills to pay.
But I think wins and losses. People say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," but it genuinely does, because I have friends that won't come to the shows now because, as they put, you always lose, Aiden.
I think it depends on the wrestler you are as well, because I can't imagine, like, how many matches has Rockstar Spud won? What do you reckon his win ratio is?
I don't actually know.
I can't imagine he wins most of his matches. He probably wins 10%, if that. Maybe when he was on the
I realised maybe, but the time I realised that it did matter was when there was a kid, and we were handing out flyers for the shows, and there was a kid who went to the shows, and he asked me, "Are you going to be on it?" And I said, "Why, yes, I have a match." And the kid went, "Are you gonna lose again?" And that's when I realized that these kids who go to these shows, they do keep track of who wins and who loses.
Oh yeah,
it matters to them.
Had them come up to me after a show, and they are invested in these shows. Like, to them, this is a big deal. Like, they probably Meltzer our matches after the shows on the playground.
I hope there's oh man, yeah. I hope they write a newsletter, and I'd love to see the reviews for my match. I think we should do an episode about funny stories after shows, but I have.
Oh my goodness, yes, there'd be so many.
I have a bunch that kids have said to me after shows where I'm like, oh, okay, that's yeah.
So that was, and my dream came true. And after that match, honestly, I felt like if I never wrestle again, I'm absolutely okay with that. Everything else that comes afterwards is just gravy.
Well, you got to be in the newspaper as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I even it's on the wall behind me. I probably should turn on my camera. Got a whole page spread in the local newspaper, which like to my mum is the greatest thing that I will probably ever achieve is getting in the local news. Like I could honestly, again, like I say, I could WrestleMania main event. My mum would not give a shit. But getting in the local newspaper, whoa, boy, she's gonna have that one in her scrapbook for the rest of her life.
Yep.
That's another thing which I'll probably talk about in a future episode is our family's reactions to us becoming wrestlers, because it's always going to be an interesting topic. Grief. We've been running. How long have we been talking for now?
An hour and a half.
Okay.
We started this a quarter past.
This is let's talk about, before we wrap this up, the modern day. Bring ourselves back to modern day. What have you been watching wrestling wise recently, or not even wrestling wise? Like I wanted this to be like, we talk about video games, movies, TV, music, because we share pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Not only do we share the same upbringing, we just share the same interests pretty much as well. Probably because our upbringings were so similar.
I do find that for like wrestling fans, there are your interests in like your side interests tend to
cross over.
There's a big crossover with that. So today, actually, I've been playing Tomb Raider 2 on the PlayStation 1.
Retro gaming, unless they recently remade that and they tell me.
So I'm playing the PC version because I finally found a app that lets me use my Xbox controller. Ooh. Because the PC version only lets you use keyboard inputs.
Oh.
So this turns keyboard.
Of course, this is before. Would this be before the analog stick was invented, or maybe?
Well,
no, it certainly wasn't on the original PlayStation.
The Steam version is like the 1997 PC version. They haven't updated it at all. So
okay, so you've got like not quite tank controls, but those awkward D-pad controls.
Yeah, so thankfully this program turns Xbox control inputs to keyboard inputs. So I'm playing that at the moment, while on my other screen right now I actually have today's New Japan show ready to go.
Which is, see, this is big hole. My dirty secret is how unfamiliar I am. Pretty much all Perizzo and New Japan, Noah. I see like some stuff, but I've never been like, I can maybe name like 10, 12 Japanese pro wrestlers.
That's fair enough. Like,
and maybe like 6 of them are currently active. So this is going to be the interesting part of the show where you can educate me on what's currently going on in New Japan.
Well, Oka is.
I know there's this guy called Jay White.
Yes. And someone else you've been on shows with, the Great Okan, has recently debuted.
I did see. Yeah, he posted on. Did you see on his Instagram? He posted a picture of Nando's.
Yes. He's.
Bless his context.
I think he's kind of missing the UK in a way, and it sort of warms my heart that we had such a positive impact on him.
Yeah, he loves the cheeky Nando's.
Yeah. So at the moment they're doing. So they have their like quarterly or whatever pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Well, pay-per-views, they're all on the internet on their streaming service, but they do like build-up shows called The Road to.
Yeah.
So at the minute we're going to a show called, I think it's Power Struggle. So they're doing like their 2 weeks up build-up called Road to Power Struggle. So that's going on at the moment, and they're building to, I think, Kota Ibushi versus Jay White for the Wrestle Kingdom contract, and there's some tag belt stuff going on. But yeah, I won't go into too much detail because I think that will possibly date this podcast. But yeah, so I love New Japan shows because I was actually interviewed once when I went to Wrestle Kingdom. I was actually interviewed by a guy who asked me why I watch New Japan. So that's somewhere on YouTube.
Wow. Was this the one you went to? Was it last year or a year before?
The year
before the world went to shit.
Yes, this was 2018. I have a program from it. It was the Kenny Omega Tanahashi main event. And yeah,
so that was your first time in Japan, wasn't it?
It was my 4th time in Japan.
4th time. Okay, I remember you telling me you stayed in one of those teeny tiny little. Bubble.
We could possibly do that as another episode, which is like.
I'd love to. Yes.
Yeah, adventures to shows, because I've been to Japan for a show. I once got a coach all the way to Glasgow to go see Fear and Loathing.
Japan, Glasgow.
Yeah, all the
the
big
exotic places of the world.
Yeah, a lot of similarities between them.
Yes.
Definitely. So yeah,
I hope you're writing these show ideas down because I am not.
I will open a note-taking app right now. I will. Okay, so what have we said so far?
Show stories.
Yeah.
Road trips to shows.
Trips to. We'll also do So we've got 2 ideas. So we at least have 3 episodes.
Boom. So that's what you're playing. That's what you're watching.
What about
watching
you?
Any? I was going to ask you, watching any TV or movies recently that might enjoy.
To date, it's currently just gone November, so I've been watching over October. I've been watching horror films.
Oh, of course, yeah. I saw you posted Instagram Halloween.
Oh, you gotta watch Halloween on Halloween.
Yeah.
So did that. I watched. So every October, I watch a horror movie every day, leading up to Halloween. And to bring it back to wrestling, this year I watched Girl on the Third Floor,
starring CM Punk's.
Yeah,
I saw the old OSW review guys.
It is a good film. It is, Punk is really good in that. I feel like he could play a douchebag in films pretty well.
So you think he'd probably have made a better decision to go into acting rather than mixed martial arts?
Oh, it's something he wanted to do. He did it and he's happy, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But if he continues to get into acting, I feel like, he could do really well. I would like to see him in more roles I'd like to see try more villain stuff. But so doing that, music-wise, let me pull up my recently played on Spotify. Carpenter Brute, who is a French electronic DJ. He does like 80s.
You know how I know him? Because he was the entrance music for my second professional wrestling match, I believe, where I teamed with New Wave. That was their entrance music, and it's awesome. I like me a bit of electronic synthwave.
Yeah, so he's very good. And apart from that, what else we got? Unleash the Archers, which is a power metal, thrash metal band with the female lead singer, and I like to seek out different stuff in metal and rock, and I don't think there's enough women in the genres, so if I ever come across one that's really good, I like to support them.
Yeah, I have a playlist that's like metal female artists, because you're right, it is like you come across like 1 in every 100 that has a female vocalist, and you do kind of wish there was more.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Literally nothing.
No?
I've been reading the first book in the Expanse series, which is a TV show now that I think they made it. I think Amazon picked it up, but I haven't watched the TV show. But I'm reading the book. Somebody sold it to me as Game of Thrones set in space, except the actual last book hasn't been finished written yet, but it is like coming this year. So
we shall see.
Yeah. George R. R. Martin has taught me not to expect anything until it actually happens.
Correct.
TV series. I just watched the first episode of The Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah.
Which was incredible. Have you seen it yet? The Mandalorian?
I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have any streaming services except New Japan World because I am lame.
I'm not piracy. Anyway, moving on. What else have I been watching? I watched the other week Das Boot, because I was getting really into war films.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen Das Boot, but
I haven't, but I've heard
30 German men on a submarine during the Second World War. And it goes on for about 4 hours, which I didn't realize until I started watching it. Yeah, it's a slog. It's a good slog, but it's definitely not. Probably one to split up and watch over several
I've heard the same thing
days.
about Tora.
I haven't seen that.
That one's I hear really good things about that, but the run time is like super long apparently, so that puts me off.
And what else movies have I seen recently? There was a good horror one, a British horror film actually. Best horror films of 2020. It's called something like Occupier or being part where I can't find it.
Okay.
Deep Blue Sea Free. No, that's not it.
We can edit this bit in post. Let's have a look. The Awakening.
No.
What did you say it was similar to?
It was...
I'll put 2020. Was it this year? Did it come out?
Yeah, it's like literally just come out. It's called like Occupier or something. Basically, the setup is if somebody wants somebody killed, they'll essentially kidnap that person. They'll put an implant into their brain, which allows another person to essentially take control of them.
Oh.
And of course, they can use that person's body to then assassinate them or just kill themselves.
Yeah. Huh.
So yeah, if you can find what the name of that film is by my description, I heartily recommend it.
Okay.
Something like Occupier or I'm terrible at movie name. Other than that, not really much else. Looking forward to as I say, The Mandalorian is probably my favorite TV show at the moment. The Boys finished watching as well, which was enjoyable. It's gotten really popular. And I don't know, these days I find it very hard to commit to TV series. I think Game of Thrones burned me when you put that much time into a TV series, and the last season just like it kills it, man. Like I wouldn't ever go back and rewatch Game of Thrones now. That's just how badly it ended. It killed the franchise. Like, you don't hear anybody talk about Game of Thrones anymore.
I know, which is
from
weird.
This phenomenon to just nothing.
Yeah, that last whole series, we can get to that some other time, but like that, I feel like from the get-go, people weren't ready for it because as it went along, people complained about little things that, like saying goodbye. People were like, oh, why didn't you say goodbye to the dog? And I was like, it's coming back later. Then it came back later, and everyone just went, oh, okay. So I think, there was a lot of ill will towards it.
Yeah,
before
it was never going to please everybody.
No,
and it definitely didn't please
anyone.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Well, this has been a fun time. I can't believe how the time has flown. And this is corresponding fantastically with my battery running out of my laptop as well. So this is going to be the end of the first episode of, what are we calling this again?
Getting to Graps with.
I'm Ben Wadley, Benjamin Black. Oh crap! We probably should decide if we're using our
I'm tailor-made Aiden Taylor.
Okay, that'll do. And thank you for joining us for this. It's been a very enjoyable chat, and hopefully we'll be doing this very, very soon again.
Yeah.
Cool.